Here.
Here. Councilwoman Michelle Miller. Here. Council President Tom Miller. Here. Councilwoman Michelle Roberts.
Present.
Present.
And Mayor Amanda.
We do not have any announcements this evening or presentations. We will move on to public comments. Mr. Hefner?
Oh, go after 571 South Old Middletown Road, Media, PA. I have many businesses and properties here in Morton. I have a couple questions. First thing I had was, I was in the trash recycling meeting. I was told that I was under the impression that the businesses had the equal right as a Morton taxpaying resident. Is that true, or are we a lesser citizen in business owners in the borough of Morton?
To do what?
Well, I was asking questions and I would suggest to go home because I'm not a resident. That's all.
I can address that. Mr. Hefner, you know, we never once said, and there's a couple people in the audience and on council that never ever once told you to go home.
Well,
We
it
never
was
told you to
implied
go
that I
home.
did not need to be at the meeting. That's all.
If that was not implied either, what was said was, we had the table set up for the committee members. We had the chair set up facing the committee members as a part of the audience, right? And what we said to you was, you were not a part of the committee, so you didn't need to sit at the table. That was
Well,
it.
Fine.
You then said, so what am I, no one? I said, no, that's not true. I said, had you been a resident, you could then possibly maybe be on council. That's it. No one ever told you to go
You never
home.
mentioned council. You just said, since I wasn't a resident, you know, there was.
I'm sorry, so,
That's all I'm asking. And instead of belaboring it, I just,
and Councilor Miller agreed, so you were there apparently, well, you just did, so you agreed with what he said, so did you want to have an input on what was said actually? Just because I want to make sure that you get the respect that you're due, because you feel as though we
I
said
just
some
want to
things
know if
that.
I'm equal to a resident.
That's fine, but she had agreed with you, so I want her to elaborate on whatever it is that she agreed with.
He was never told about running for office. I don't remember that being said.
No,
I was sitting at the table and who cares? I mean, I didn't care if you sat there or not because you wanted to sit and use your computer. To me, that didn't matter, but if, and it was, our meeting, so I would say that it was up to Mrs. Roberts more than anyone, but who sat at the table, but that's my personal opinion and
Okay, yeah, no, you're absolutely right, so I'll go on to you, Ms. Roberts, did you, I mean, because you at any point in time could have also said that.
Right, exactly. And I just want to reiterate, we never once said for you to go home. That was
No, you
never interjected in our
No, it just-
conversation at all. And
just
like,
as I say.
and as the council president advised, she just said that normally the meetings at the table is the committee. And I did ask that were you okay with sitting in the
I have no
audience? And
problem
you
there.
just said no problem.
I do have one more question about the proposed tax increase on trash. Because at the meeting when I was there, you're talking about doing the trash every week, the summer pickup and recycling, which will come out to 293,000. And in the committee meeting, you mentioned that, yes, that's what you were on propose. So based on the prior year, the budget was for 169,000 and the new number will be 293. Technically on 975 residents, it's going to be a price increase in their taxes of $128 a year. Am I right on this?
When you said $128 more increase
Per
to-
resident, yes.
per resident to their bill.
Right,
So it'll go from 305 that we pay now to 30.
okay, I just want to
Yes.
make sure I'm correct.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
My 3 minutes are up.
Yes, thank you,
I'll be back at the end.
no worries. Okay, we're gonna move on to our committee reports. First, we had public facilities and infrastructure. That Andrew Johnson.
Thank you. I don't have anything to report this evening. Mr. Catania lost his sister over the weekend. So we haven't been able to meet up to get an update on what's listed on the event. That's all.
Mr. Catania usually is not at the agenda meetings.
I understand that he's
Yeah.
not at the meeting, but him and I do connect prior to the meeting. So we had some family situation going on,
Right.
and we were not able to connect to provide an update for this evening.
I can tell you that in the interim, the traffic safety signal maintenance agreement was executed by both PennDOT and the borough, so it is moving forward, and I expect that, the improvements will begin soon.
Thank you. All right, moving on to finance and administration. Council Vice President Bernice Clark Dickerson, I do not see anything here. Is there anything that you wanted to touch on this evening?
Just want to say good evening, everybody, and thank you for your prayers and your service.
Thank you, Bernice.
I have a question. Was the office closed on Columbus Day?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Well, last year it wasn't. We usually follow the county calendar. And the county was given, Juneteenth as a holiday the last 2 years. And took away Columbus Day. The schools were open, county was open, trash was picked up. So technically, the office should have been open. Even though it was a federal holiday with no banks and, no mail delivery, the stock market was open too. But I just want to know if there was any comment about that, because that was not what happened last year. We were closed on Columbus Day.
Is not on the agenda, we can't have a deliberation or discussion.
I'm just bringing it up, so I'll bring it up. I'll ask for it to be on the agenda next month.
Moving on to public safety. There has been discussion of the no parking sign, placed on the corner of Harding and Morton Ave. There is a residence there that, is occupying, or maybe they own large vehicles, I'm not sure, but it is becoming an issue. Especially with parking. So that is something that we will be discussing. Placing there. It's just a narrow road. You can come 2 ways, but if you have large vehicles there on, that street, it's causing a lot of issues, so that is something we will be, discussing. Within public safety, I know, Mr. Stubbs, you were specifically inquiring about that as well, and I agree.
Yes,
So that is something
Thank you.
that we will be discussing. That's all I have for you this
if
evening. Yeah.
I just want to put on that, they are, it's like a body and fender stop, that house.
Mhm.
They were-
Yeah.
They were repairing the
noticed.
cars and they're putting bricks underneath the back tires,
Mhm.
and it just doesn't seem like it's a safe thing. And then they park, their address is 302 North Morton Avenue, not Harding Avenue. And they're parking three vans, a pickup truck, and then their personal cars. And I was wondering if they all live in that one house, is that a 5-bedroom, 4-bedroom? What is the legalness of them to have all that done?
Yeah, I agree with the vehicles for sure. I don't know how many people live in there. But I agree with you as far as the cars.
Yes,
And then I did see the gentleman like working on the vehicle in the grass. and
Yeah.
So I do agree. So that is definitely something we should be discussing.
very unsafe.
Thank you. That is all I have for this evening. Moving on to public health, sanitation and recycling.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Even.
On the agenda tonight is a discussion in regards to the rubbish contract for 2025. And as stated prior, you did hear some rebuttal in regards to it. We did meet on the 16th as a committee. And some members of the community as well as the businesses. There were 3 bids that came in. Out of the 3 bids, we went to the lowest bidder, and the lowest bidder is Creative Waste Solutions, which is currently our trash hauler that we use, and that's B&L. And the comparisons were as follows: for 1-day trash, also with a 2-day pickup being, we would go from October 1st to May 31st. With the 1 day, and then we go back into the summer cycle from June until September. And that'll become our 2-day. And if we added the recycling, and that amount was $200,507. And if we did the recycling, that would be $93,415. And that's where we came up with the committee being a total of $293.922. But as our prior contract was only for 1 year. So once again, we had to revisit and proposing to go with the 3-year at that amount yearly. But it would increase if we picked up the recycling as stated. Our prior amount was $305, and that was a 33% increase. Where if we did the recycling, it would now come into $433. And like I said, this would come before council. We would put it in our budget, but I feel as though most residents would oppose it. As many residents want recycling, you gotta realize there'll be an impact to it. Because it's not mandatory, but it's just something that we're doing that is part of the environment for those that want to recycle. So once again, when it comes before council, it may get voted no, but that's where we are. And as we prepare with the budget, that's the amount that we're gonna plug in. But once again, council weighs in on it, it may not transpire in that way.
Do we have a number for if we only have 1 day of trash? Versus 1.5
Yes, it was
days?
162,000 and some,
Okay,
yes.
from
For 1 day, it's $162,793.
Including tipping fees or everything?
No, now tipping fees,
No.
information that we're getting was $90.50 every time they go to tip.
Okay.
So,
and that's set up by the county,
No.
so that's not part of the what part of the bids?
okay, so, like I said, that will be presented as we go to budget session, and also keep in mind, we will be meeting health and sanitation recycling on Tuesday, November the 12th, here at 8 p.m.
Thank you. Law Enforcement, Council Michelle Miller.
I have nothing, and the chief isn't here, so I have nothing else to report from the last meeting.
The chief hasn't done anything.
Pardon?
You don't have to do it.
I thought it was in the chief's contract, he was to attend the meetings.
Okay. Community and Economic Development Council, Doug Evo.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just a quick report from me. The PRC Fall Collections e-waste recycling, if you're interested for that, that's still taking applications if you want to, not applications, but you have to register online. It's an e-waste event. So if you go to prc.org, you can go to their events, and there's one being held at Rose Tree Park on Halloween. I believe I can pull it up right now. I want to get the right times on that. So give me 1 second. It is, let's see. Okay, workshops. We want Okay, well, I will find it for you, but it is it's on Halloween. It's usually from like maybe 11 or 12 to like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. But you do have to register, so make sure you do that if you have some stuff to take there. Some of the items they cost money, like printers, and some TVs do. Not everything's free, but computer stations, things like that. There's a lot of stuff that they do take that is free. So make sure you check out the website to find out what they do accept and what they don't accept. And I think the firehouse is having a car wash. Is that done? Okay, I wasn't sure. I thought it was this weekend. Okay, so that's done. But if you have any events coming up, please stand up and shout them out. That's all I really have tonight. Any questions?
No, I just can interject.
Yes.
I believe that this Saturday, Representative Senator Clooney and State Representative Jennifer Romero will be having the shredding event at the Springfield.
Mm.
No, the Springfield Mall. Yeah, the Springfield Mall from 9 to 12. So if there's anybody that wants to get rid of your shredding, here's your opportunity. And I know they also do some e-waste, but I know that you have to go on their website to sign up for that. Okay, and I think there's a limit of maybe 4 items. But that I believe is free, but you must register.
Yeah, and they do get filled up pretty quickly. So if you want, I mean, just literally like right after this meeting, if you have anything, go sign up because they do get filled up. That's all I have.
Thank you. Moving on to Parks and Recreation, I do not see anything listed. Mr. Stubbs, do you have anything for us this evening?
No, I don't.
The mayor is not here this evening for report, so we do not have anything to vote on as far as action items. Just take note of the upcoming meetings and events. Oh, yeah. Did you sign up? Perfect, okay. And then just taking a look here at your agenda of the upcoming meetings and events. We have a regular public meeting at 7 p.m. on the 13th of November, and then our agenda meeting, I do believe. We do have the law and ordinance meeting also this month. It's not listed here. I'm not sure of the time and it's their budget meeting. But it was, I see it now as I'm like just focusing on that line. Below for the budget meetings coming up. Yes. Okay, great.
Actually, the meeting, if you excuse me, but the agenda meeting, I believe, is the 26th of November. We usually
Yeah,
give it on
27th is.
as a Wednesday, so
yeah.
if it's the Tuesday, the 26th.
Yeah.
That's what should have been on the calendar in January when it was published. You want to check, see if the newspapers
Still good advertising.
I'll check to see.
All right, and then just to the announcements, I'm sure you're all aware of the election day on the 5th of November here in the borough office. We are closed. It will be over in the borough hall. Make sure you come out and vote. It does count. And then Veterans Day is November 11th of 2024. The office is closed that day as well. We're gonna move on to our open discussion. Mr. Lee.
Good evening, everyone. Mike Lee, 123 West Sylvan Avenue, Morton, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, United States of America. I do echo your comments about voting, Madam President. As we all know, or we should know, the deadline has passed to register to vote. So if you're not registered now, tough luck. You can't vote on November 5th. You'll just have to register to vote in time for the primaries next year. But for those of you who register to vote, if you don't vote, you have no reason to complain. You have no right to complain, and you'll get what you deserve, no matter who wins. That's what it comes down to. I did hear a very interesting quote with the tensions we are today. There was a group that was popular, I think maybe in the late 60s, Sly and the Family Stone. I never listened to their music, because that type of music just didn't interest me, so make that what you will, but their lead singer showed a clip of him on the Ed Sullivan Show, and a very interesting comment, I hope I'm quoting him right. Don't hate the black, don't hate the white. If you don't like to be bit, hate the bite. And I think that's something that we should all take to heart, so, thank you for listening, good night, may God bless all of you.
Thank you,
And
Mr.
Yeah.
Lane. Mr. Heffernan?
Bill Hefner again. I have just two questions. On Portnoy, I asked a couple of meetings ago and unfortunately Bernice was under the weather. Do we know how many dollars we sent off to Portnoy for collection and what the date range of the collection is?
No, because of a lot of things that's been going on, that, you don't have the exact figure as of yet.
Do you have a ETA on that number?
Yeah,
All right. But it has been turned over to Portnoy, has it?
notice will be going out within this week, by the end of the week, Monday morning, to go over, letting families know, households, that, things will be turned over to court.
Okay, so it hasn't been turned over yet, that's why you don't have a
Correct,
number.
yeah.
Okay. Second question I have is, a couple weeks ago, Doug Emhoff was here on the weekend at the Borough Hall, and there was a bunch of people here. I didn't know you're allowed to have political things in the Borough Hall. I thought we're supposed to be neutral on either party.
It was not political. It was, the mayor's not here, she can't really elaborate on it, but I do believe it was called Dads for Daughters. It was an event. They did choose the borough, but that's about it. It wasn't anything more of around.
So I should actually, the next meeting, ask the mayor what happened
You
then.
could, but I do not believe that's what it was for. Like I said, it was an event and it was called Dads for Daughters.
Okay, well, I'm just curious, so I will ask again, because
That's
she
fine.
she knows.
Yeah.
There was a notice from the county Democratic Party that went out to members of who were on their mailing list about it. Not saying what it was specifically, but to sign up for it
All right. All
a
right.
couple days ahead of time.
Thank you, Mr. Heffernan. The time was up.
Good evening, council. I'm Joe Boylan from 23 Althea Lane. I have a few items for you. I'll try to get through them as quickly as I can. But appreciate it if you don't answer until I get through all of them. I understand that there's been an issue or a question around crossing guard salaries for 2024. I just want to remind council that this was discussed in budget meetings a year ago. It was approved by council, was voted on by council. There was a raise that was effective to $18 an hour, effective September 1st. I understand that raise has not taken place. I did bring this to the attention of the council president and vice president a month ago. Didn't hear back, shocking. And I contacted them again this morning, but I would point out that this was voted on and approved. I don't see how you can just arbitrarily decide now to not award those raises that were approved by the prior council. So if you are not going to approve them, I think you should explain to the public why. Regarding the Doug Emhoff visit, since it was not a quote political event, I'm assuming it was a rental. So I would like to know how much money the borough actually got from the rental. And if we did not get rental income, why did we not? Since it was, well, you'll call it non-party thing. The other question I have at the moment is regarding parking meter revenue collections, whether that's happened and when the most recent collection was, and also what the status of the replacement parking meter arrangement is. And then finally, I raised this question back at the beginning of the year regarding police officer contributions to their healthcare coverage. This is the contract from 2012. that stipulates that officers hired after January first of 2012 would contribute 10% to their healthcare coverage. At the summertime, we were told that the borough was investigating alternate healthcare plans. I'm sorry, am I interrupting your thought process there?
Am I interrupting yours?
Yes, you are, because you're
Okay.
clearly.
Well, I'm not
paying
interrupting
attention.
you though,
You're
so
not
keep
paying
going.
attention. That's
I can hear you.
Doesn't matter whether the police get a cheaper healthcare plan or not, they still have to contribute 10%. Has that been happening? Because if not, we baked that into the budget for 2024. So you're going to have a severe expense overage since no officer has contributed. And finally, a question for Mrs. Roberts. Do you have a fee if we do not include recycling?
No, I looked over that fee.
Okay, I would appreciate that. As I mentioned a couple of meetings ago over the summer, the folks on my block, at least at the end of my block, are not using recycling as it was intended. They're putting plastic trash bags full of garbage into their can. So I question the effectiveness of recycling and whether anybody is actually policing what is being collected in the red collection cans, since I don't believe it's 100% recycled. So my question would be, if we go back to using the receptacles that we've had on the borough property and save maybe senior citizens a pretty substantial recycling fee, might be worth it.
Okay, but the one number that we did have just for the trash was for the 2 day would be $200,000 and $570. So I have
We
to break
knew
that
that
down.
was gonna go
Right.
up when we have a one-year contract. Thank you.
I will address, I'll start with the crossing guards. That's a personnel issue that we're working through. Because with that comes documentation and things. So that's something we're working through right now. As far as your emails, you're right, you sent two, but you sent both of them to my personal email. You and I are not on a personal level. However, you do have my borough email. I'd be more than happy to answer you in that email.
You didn't
And-
get the first.
I'm sorry,
You didn't get the first thing.
I got them both, but again, you know the borough's email.
I see. You'll
But-
be able to read borough email.
I'm able to read both emails.
Got it.
However,
So there's no back and forth.
there's not, however, excuse me for 1 second, and I just need to say this. Here's the thing. When I first was voted on, I made it very clear that I don't tolerate disrespect. You have been very disrespectful to myself and Vice President Clark Dickerson here. Okay, you have. And I don't have a problem sharing them and sending them out because it came to my personal email. With that comes no response from me. I'm not your daughter. I'm not your wife. I'm not your mother, your sister, and I'm definitely not your friend. Because you have disrespected me. You come on these emails and you feel as though you can say whatever it is you feel that you can or want to say. I don't work that way. But professionally, if you had emailed me multiple times on my borough email, I would have addressed you. But you don't. You email me on my personal email. Okay, so now you know where we stand. This is professional, okay? So I want to answer you about the emails. Okay, you're no longer on council, which means you're no longer privy to a lot of the things we need to discuss regarding those salaries.
Nothing.
But I do believe you are, and that's okay. But when we come here, we do have a decorum that we need to set. And you show up when you want to because you think you know and you don't. Okay, but we will be respectful. That's really all I have to address on that, because that's what you asked. Okay, as far as the event that was here, that was held here, it was paid. They paid like any other rental would pay. Okay? So there's your answer for that, and that's all I'm going to get into, okay? And I appreciate you coming up and speaking and asking your questions. I do know that Doug, you wanted to address a few things.
On the issue of the medical expenses, I'm sorry that you interpreted us as not listening to you. It was actually me telling the council president that I would address the question. We were very attentively listening to you. The police officers are now contributing to this. As you, if you have the CBA language, as you would know, there's two options. They either stick with the normal plan and contribute 10%, or they agree to a low, or a high deductible plan, which is at least 10% cheaper for the borough.
Not in this language.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can disagree on that.
Not in the
We might have the wrong one. Okay, so ultimately,
Personnel matter too.
That's the.
ultimately,
Not personal matter.
the police are contributing according to the collective
I
bargaining
appreciate
agreement
that.
towards the. That's it.
Still tired of leaving it.
Cecilia Todd, 110 Althea Lane. There aren't many people at the top of my block where I live and I circulate that recycle. I did send an email to several members of council expressing my desire to have a one trash day and not recycle at all. The imposition of the $75 increase last year was a lot of money for a lot of seniors, and I heard that. And now if you decide to go with the trash and the recycling and the summer pickup, it's gonna be a substantial increase to a lot of people that really can't afford it. And some people don't even use it, so that's my desire. I would prefer that you stay with the 1 day pickup, not even the summer pickup. People can accommodate different things, and we did it before, so we can do it again. That's my feeling, and I'll come to the meeting and express it again. So thank you for acknowledging my email. I wanted to say that the firehouse is doing a soup fundraiser. They're taking orders through 11/15 for 3 different kinds of soup, 16 ounces, and the pickup date is on 10/17. Additionally, breakfast with Santa Claus that a lot of people would be interested in for themselves, their neighbors and their families, it is on December 7th. And the Morton, Santa will run through Morton Borough on the fire truck or with the fire department on 12/7 on the same day as the breakfast with Santa Claus. So, I think that, that's all I had to say.
Is Santa coming during the afternoon or the evening?
He'll be there, like he
You know.
usually does in the afternoon. Breakfast with Santa, I think, starts at 8 and it's done at 11, and then Santa will run down beginning around 11.
Okay, because he used to come at night, so, but in the last year, maybe he came during the day. That's just, one of my neighbors asked me, so,
No, he'll come during the day.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask a question before you? Was trunk or treat, were they having that at the?
It's
social-
canceled.
It was
And,
canceled.
yeah, he
and-
did send out an email.
Okay.
Yeah, it was canceled, and I asked why it was canceled, and I was told that you had to register your car so we would know how many people would be there.
They didn't
Not many
turn up.
not many people registered their cars, so we weren't gonna bring 5 cars up to the social field and have a bunch of kids just, it wasn't feasible, so. I don't know if we have to find a different way to get people involved. It seems that with just a few people in the audience and coming to meetings and participating at some of our fundraisers, people have to get more involved. It's your
Well, yeah.
community and you have to get
Yeah,
involved.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, sure.
I just would like to respond, to everybody who's been sending me emails. I have not been able to access your emails. And also, like I said before I was sick, I just want you all to know that I do not ignore any emails that come through. I do try to follow and look up everything. I've been searching them, and to some who don't know, or our staff know, and some of the council members do, I had a stroke. So I'm here and let me know that I was still working and trying to catch up with everything. So let you know that I will follow up on all emails.
Thank you. And I do not ignore it either. I've responded to every single email I've ever gotten. However, again, reiterating it coming to my personal email, I do not speak borough business with my personal email. I just don't. And the email is public knowledge and everyone knows this email. I mean, I get emails all day, every day, so I want to make sure I say that. However, we just, again, going back to that decorum and understanding we are human beings and sending emails to people. professionally is one thing, but
Mhm.
attacking them, you know, and being in your personal emails is just something you can't tolerate. But no, I again want to reiterate, I acknowledge getting both emails, but again, you all know our borough emails, so I just feel like I should probably say that and mention that as well, because that is not the take or the stance that I am making at this time. Tony Brown, you're next.
Hello.
How you doing?
Can you state your address and where you please?
I got it. I'm Tony Brown. I live at 302 Newell, formerly known as the Foster's house.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yeah, that's me. So I had some concerns. I ran into Mr. Stubbs on Saturday and we were just gonna like chit chat and he said we need to bring them here. So I'll read this as fast as I can. In May of 2005, my husband Harold / Rudy Brown moved in and had purchased the foster home and moved in. When we purchased the property, a friend of mine had told me, be careful with that park, a lot goes on there. But I quickly told her after a few months, nope, it's good, it's nice, they keep it really nice, blah, blah, blah. My problem is that as time has gone on, the park has not been maintained as well. Over the past few years, I've noticed less and less being done. And because our property borders the park, it ends up being our property, okay? Leaves fall, I know wherever they fall. Last year, I picked up, me and Perry Dickerson, who helps me, picked up 40 bags of leaves just in my front yard months, okay? I'm not doing that this year, okay? Second time so far, I've blown them across because I pay to naturally maintain my lawn and my service is going to go to waste if I can't, you know, all these leaves continue to come down on my property. Like today I had my aeration. If I hadn't blown that, I'd have been aerating leaves, you know, my whole front yard was full. So, also what I've noticed is that the grass has not been kept up as it has been, usually. There was a family that held a gathering there and the grass was probably about 4 or 5 inches long one time this summer. It's like, golly, how come these guys can't do this? I've called before and I'm told a litany of excuses that we're down one, somebody's on vacation, we're trying to catch up. And I have to say there are plenty of people looking for a part-time job. And I've been counting all my work career, and if there's somebody else, then you can contact the temporary agency to get somebody to fill that slot, okay?
So your time's up, but I do want to address you did say a lot, and I think I get the gist of
Okay.
where you're coming from. We did recently hire another full-time, public worker, and, we are working on getting the park up to par as much as we can with that. I think it's bigger than that as well. I know the goats came in and cleaned up, but that doesn't really.
And I still haven't received my $40 because the goats use my electric too.
Oh, wow. That's news to us. We had no idea.
I've never heard that, but
Both me and Lisa Pennell, because of where our properties were, we were asked if they could use our.
Who were you
The
in
borough
contact?
manager.
Okay,
I forget his name. I do have his card somewhere, but, in fact, they stopped past my house after the goats had already been going on. And, they were using her electric first. And then, came over and said, we're gonna shift the goats and then we plug in to your line, and I was like, we had,
Did you get that in writing at all, or?
no, but I have plenty of witnesses,
Okay,
you know,
okay,
and I've talked to him before because I couldn't get an answer, and I came here to the office to get the gully cleaned, which was my next item, but I ran out of time because the gully is never.
okay, that's right. So, and I have that, so I do wanna go back to the concern, because there may have been a lax because of the shortness, which was, what was said. And we do have another full-time person, so we will make sure that, we do address those issues, because again, I do think that's, especially that gully. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, I'm
And-
retired now, so
Well,
I'll be back.
I was up the street, cause I remember, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, you can definitely, talk about that in the electric, we can discuss as well. We obviously were not aware that, but you were approached by the borough manager, correct?
Yeah,
Okay,
and the good one.
and the goat,
Yeah.
great, all right.
And I passed that, I'm always the documentation, and could you please forward a letter to the borough?
I can forward this one, I don't.
That's great.
Thank you.
You want to make a copy? Absolutely, thank you.
I have it on my laptop, absolutely.
Is the other
This
person's
is
name,
now.
is her name on that too?
No, no, but.
Do you have it?
No, she just has a copy of what I wrote, but I can. have her
Okay,
name.
so I asked that you do a
Okay.
draft as well, okay,
Thank you.
that'd be great.
Thank you. No. There anyone else for open discussion this evening?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, sure, absolutely.
So Lisa Puna, 208 Baker Street, good evening.
Mhm.
The parade in Morton, what happened to that? There's no activities. We have a lot of children now in Morton. There's no activities in Morton. Like, where does that start?
Starts here.
It starts here.
Starts here, but someone from the community has to get involved. Like,
Okay,
and I mean, if we just heard what Ms. Todd said, this is our community.
right.
And if we don't get involved and show forth the effort, things do die off. And like you said, here, there's plenty of children, but once again, we lead by example.
So
So we
with
have
that
to-
being said,
Yes.
with all due respect,
Mhm.
I've addressed it. With different ministries and organizations, and I have addressed it.
Mhm.
If you need help, let me know. I'll connect with you. But yeah, something has to be done. No one gets back to you.
Mhm.
Things happen. Nothing's left in the door to let you know that things are happening. I'm just trying to understand it. You know, you can't get involved and lead by example if the example's not leading correctly
Mhm.
and not getting back to you.
So I can just speak on,
I
this
mean-
year coming in, and Doug is our community and economic development, community chair, and we've been speaking actually, me specifically, the parade, because I grew up on the parade, and that was just something that I prided myself on living here. And one of the reasons why I did want to get involved, it is definitely a lot more work, I think, than it has been in the past, but there's a lot of people that do want to get involved.
Right.
And I've already started working on that to deliver to Doug, just because it's kind of new to him, but like, so that we know where to start. So knowing that you're interested, I'll connect with you right away, because that is something that we are looking to do. And it's not for me, I don't want it to be a borough headache as far as the funds, because we want it to be big and great. And I think it's known that I want to say that the community did play a big part in that. The community obviously changes, you have different demographic, it changes, but that doesn't mean it has to stop. And I can say specifically where we are in the community, that's what made the bulk of the parade. So if we still have that, then we can start there and then maybe try to educate others on the history of the parade and try to get them more involved. It is really about the community getting involved,
You know,
but it does have to start somewhere. I
and
agree.
it can go out. We have parades in Darby,
Sure, absolutely. I
you
mean, it can
know,
be
in
done.
different areas,
Sure.
and different people from different areas
Yeah.
came and participated. So, you know, you can have community outreaches, there's
Absolutely.
several churches within the community and outside of the community that can come together and do community outreach to do something within, you know, and outside.
Right.
So Springfield / Morton, where does that connect? You know, so they can be a part too. The band comes, the fire company, you know, so everybody
Yeah.
has to pull together. We're a small community, but it can go out.
With, President being involved, she will be contacting different people, letting you know when the meetings are gonna start, and
Okay,
everybody coming together to work on that.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
Thank
if I can piggyback off that, some of the things that we're gonna try to implement for next year are putting out more yard signs when events are happening, putting out mailers so that the citizens can know when events happen, like well ahead of time. Really, and having social media, you know, play a role in it. So we're trying to put that into the budget ahead of time so that when it, you know, 2 months out from the event, we can pay to have yard signs go out all across Morton to let you know on, you know, February, so-and-so, something's gonna happen. Here's where to sign up if you want to volunteer, things like that, or just show up. So we are aware of that, so we're gonna try to work on that this year.
And the website,
The website is mortonboroughpa.org.
okay.
Okay,
it doesn't
so it's up
always
and
work.
running. The old one is not working, so don't go to the old one.
BORO.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
We have a
word
new website.
borough isn't spelled all the way out.
We have a new website.
Yeah, mortonborough, BORO.org.
Yes, .org.
Okay. Here, I'll pull it up on here.
Yeah, if you should have any issues, it works pretty well.
You can get on it, but it's not. The agenda was on it today.
Yeah, it's updated with everything that.
So let me share the screen here so everybody can see what we're looking at. And all of you out in Zoom land here. Where's my share? Let's see. Oh, here we go.
Are you talking about the event that was held by the
Yes.
teens? That wasn't a borough event.
So here's the new site. Yeah, it's mortonboroughpa.org. mortonboroughpa.org. So that's the new site. It has all of the meetings on there, the government, which is us, some about history, departments, forms that you can fill out. Contact us, please, because we also have, when you contact us, that way we can capture your email address. And that's a good way for us to be able to get a hold of you. Okay, so please use the form. We're also on Facebook as the same thing, Morton Borough PA. So go there if you are a part of Facebook, but yeah, the website is usually updated. If not, somebody will yell at me. So, so we'll get that updated as much as we can, but yeah.
And my last concern is fireworks.
So I do want to cut you off, because
Okay.
your time was up, but I
Well, that's
know where
okay.
you're going
That
with
was
it. I
summing
know
up
where you're
right
going with
there.
it. I know where you're going with it.
The seed.
I know where you're going with it.
And I'll talk to y'all next meeting.
Yes, I know, but I will connect with you, so.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Highway, I did see you do a little drive-by, you
All right.
going up.
Just quick, and Doug, you answered it, highly 200 block of Walnut Street, so. And I do want to acknowledge, there are not a lot of things for youth, but I do want to acknowledge that Ms. Lockley does try to do many things within the community.
Yes,
with-
absolutely.
And that's a good example of somebody who kind of
That's
takes the
it.
bull
Yes.
by the horns, and she
Yeah.
don't, you know, she
Yep.
really tries to create things through the Teens for Positive Empowerment, the community service, and other things. So that might be a good person, or, you know, to try to, you know, do some things on your own. And that's what I was just gonna say. I think sometimes the bigger thing is we don't have a big audience here in the communication. So I know you guys try to put the signs, but there are little things like National Night Out. I don't know if that happened or not.
Mhm.
But Juneteenth, like, you know, just advertising in multiple ways. I
Yep.
thought it was good. I got a flyer about something in my door, but, you know, just trying to have multiple ways to communicate.
Yeah.
Certain generations use social media, certain people use paper. But that's why I was also gonna say, y'all addressed a couple of things that were on my mind, 'cause I didn't know the website.
So there's
changed.
also, if you go on the website, if you scroll down, there is a calendar built right in.
Yep.
Okay, so you can go there. And check some things. So yeah, we're trying to address all the ways that we can reach out to people. And hopefully, and the other thing is repetition. So, if you want to be known for something, you have to do it year after year. If you do a Juneteenth event, you might get 5 people the first year, but you may get 10 the next, and then 50 the next, and then 100 the next. So it's about repetition. You have to be known for that event. So you can't just be like, I'm gonna do Juneteenth this year, but then I'm gonna do, a random holiday next year, because then nobody knows where you're at. So we're gonna try to do that as well. Yeah.
And it sounds like if you guys are doing a parade, that will be under community development or parks, or will it be under parks?
It may be under,
Probably both.
yeah. I think it's gonna be a lot of us involved with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna ask y'all. Cause I had, when I was on council, it was very difficult, and there was, because part of that, there is obviously a large monetary commitment.
Mhm.
Is there any budgetary support for a parade, or would that once again need to be fully funded by the community?
So.
That is- Yeah.
I'll let you address
Yeah,
that.
So. And that's kind of where we start. However, my goal, and I spoke with Doug at our last meeting, that we do not want to make it a borough expense. It's really easy to fundraise, honestly. To be honest with you, it is very easy to fundraise. You just gotta have a team. You have to have a team, and I've already got fundraisers in play. But you have to have a team of people that you can delegate different duties to, because there's a lot that goes into the parade, which So, but we do not want to have the expense be the burden of the borough but the borough's support.
Anything for veterans that the borough thing? Oh, last question.
Not as of yet, but
We usually cut a check to the vets for
Yeah.
$250.
You guys have done like honoring them.
So
That was something else.
we may do something as far as honoring them, but they have reached out to us to help out with just some cleanup as well, and just to keep, the grounds just, so if we have that availability, we don't see an issue in helping out the property with that. That being said, we have a motion to adjourn the meeting this evening. Have a good night.